Okay, so I'm Natalie, and I'd love to tell you a bit about how our team reached coherency between ASO, performance marketing, and brand. And first of all, a couple of words about me. Sorry. Yeah, so this is me. Last year, I was super happy to be the part of ASO Conference in Berlin, where I realized that this is the group of people I love to talk with, and I'm a huge fan of ASO Slack community. At Hily, I am the marketing manager. I work with App Store optimization, run App Search ads, and Google ads. In life, and especially at work, I believe that people lie, but numbers don't. And it means that our decision I make at work, I try to back up with data, because numbers are better friends than people. Sometimes not, but still our decisions should be backed up with some good analytics. Good, so let me share our story. So when I came, I started as an App Store optimization manager solely. And I figured out that we had 3 separate teams. And the first pain point was that people actually didn't know what is ASO. People were asking questions, ASO, ASA, are they the same? And I realized that we had 3 groups of extremely talented people who actually don't really know that we're all somehow connected. So paid UA were complaining that they don't know what I'm doing on the product page. Brand people were complaining that all the paid UA is all about clickbait. And actually everyone was super smart, but super angry with each other. So for me, it was not the type of team I would love to work with. So talking and discussing, we decided to change the way we work. So actually many people were thinking, how can we change the way we work? So first thing, I realized that, well, it's difficult because separate teams have separate goals. Brand is all about creating positive app image. For ASO, it's most important to make users find the app and then install it. So we care about keywords and you care about make the conversion rate on the product page. Paid UA, it's all about getting return on the investment you put in the ads. So maybe we're still not that separate and there are things that connect all of us. And yeah, we're all connected. This is something I came up with because on different stages of a user journey, he or she has to deal with different teams. Brand is everything that helps every user to realize that your app is the solution for this problem. Paid user acquisition is everything to find the right people who are ready to buy and to perform the needed actions. Either we're talking about activity or making the purchases. ASO, it's the very last point before going to the product because it's the product page itself. So no matter if we're talking about the paid users who are directed to the product page or just anyone who is in the store and finds your icon and the app, we are here to help user make the decision to install the app and stay here. But yeah, product is the key to everything. And in this case, brand, paid user acquisition, and ASO is all connected. So here is this destination point I want to find. And this is our long and lonesome road to coherency started. It may sound like everything I'm going to tell you sounds super obvious, but believe me, it's not, because again, when talking to people, when dealing with people, there are always many different ideas and goals, and all you have to do is listen. So first of all, what I did, and actually what I recommend everything to do, is to make the list of common goals, what each and every department is responsible for, what are the goals you have in common, what is more important, what are things that make you separate, figure out the short-term and long-term KPIs. Here is a very funny point because usually in the short term, your goals are super different, but in the long term, all KPIs are kind of the same. Everyone wants to have a great product with the best users and great positive image that you want to share with your colleagues or just with friends to be proud of working for your company. Last but not least, the point is, when creating this analysis, be sure that you know who is responsible for what. It's super awkward to ask, for example, how Snapchat ads are running the person who works for Facebook ads. And every paid user acquisition manager will tell you that those things are different and different strategies work for different sources. So be sure to figure out who is responsible for what and what is the level of expertise every person has. So this is what I came up with. This is what I think that App Store optimization is about. It's all about discoverability, relevance, and precision. You choose the right keywords, you create a clickable icon, and you use informative screenshots and video explainer so the user finds you, download, and stays within your app. I feel like many people who are good ASO practitioners know what those numbers stand for. And yeah, just in case people don't know, this is title lengths on Google Play and App Store, subtitle, keyword fields if it exists or not, the screenshot limits and video limits. All those things are important. And again, I feel like many of my fellow ASO friends will tell that there are many other things that are important. And I will tell, yes, of course, like reviews that are indexed on Google Play or the developer name, but those are those key numbers, those key limitations we have to deal with on our everyday life that brings the most impact in the shortest period of time. When we're talking about paid performance marketing, this is what I figure out while talking to my colleagues and me working for Google Ads. The most important thing is ROI. As you pay for your ads, you want to have your money back. And that's why the most important metrics are CPM and all the further metrics such as cost per click, cost per install, cost per registration, cost per subscription, etc., etc. That's why the marketers really have to do clickable ads, hit up users' desire to buy, and target the right audience, the audience that either generates the activity that is important within the app or that pays so it brings you revenue. As for brand, it's kind of the most difficult thing. Why? Because in comparison to ASO and paid UA, it's very, very difficult to measure. Brand is all about making a spot in people's head. For example, when you think about travel, you think of Airbnb, and this is an excellent example of how brand works. So when you have a problem, you come the solution. They don't have to target you with the ad, but this is something that you already have in your mind because your friends have positive experience, because you do it yourself, because you saw an article. So that's all about long-term and long-lasting positive feeling about the product. That's about being compliant with policies. That's about avoiding different scandals and just to be present on social in positive life. And again, you have to stick to your higher mission because only then you are associated with different problems. For example, Global helps you to save your time. It's not about delivering pizza. That's about saving your time. If you want to go from point A to point B, you're thinking about Uber just because. Why? This is how good brands are working. So when you figure out how those three teams, brand, paid, UA, ASO, may work together, you have to go to people and talk to them. Yeah, you have to talk, but ask questions and listen. And active listening, what I find out, is one of the most difficult things to do because you want to share your knowledge, but this is the kind of different case. You have to listen to people. Don't interrupt and let people talk. Ask about the common pain points and you will figure out that there are much more points that you have in common, the things that separate you. If you have some ideas, just ask for feedback. Agree on common workflow, how you're going to share your results, and be sure to be on the same page. Sometimes even talking about the same thing, people mean different things. For example, from the previous presentation where we had app installations, which are not actual installations, and you have to look at app units, right? So the core point here is you have to listen and try to get as much knowledge as possible, because in this case, the things you learn from your colleagues are relevant to your product. They come from practice that are not just an article you found somewhere on the internet. So be sure that your colleagues are experts in the field and listen to them with respect. The different thing, for example, these are the questions that might be good when you're talking to a paid UA manager, no matter whether on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, or anything else. You have to ask how the most performing visuals look like, what features bring the best results, what is the design of the ad they are running. Is it static or video? What language do they use? And etc. etc. The point is here that you have to adjust your product page according to what works best for the performance marketing. I was super surprised when my colleague told me that our app had more than 2 billion impressions on Snapchat within a certain time frame. 2 billion impressions, it means that 2 billion times a person at least saw something connected to our app. So this is a huge amount of views, and you have to make them somehow use them for your benefit, maybe to try to add the logo on the first seconds of your ad or something like this. And you may also share your ideas with your colleagues. In terms of ASO, you have to adjust your, for example, screenshots to best marketing performance, or for example, use the same language. And when I talk about language, I don't mean English, French. I just mean the way you talk to your colleagues. Do you use slang? Do you use emojis? Because in the way users were addressed at the very first touch point with your app, you have to continue this journey. Do not make super Victorian English product page when on your Snapchat ads, people say like, yo, download the app. It sounds just funny, but what is sad, there are a lot of apps that don't cover those things together. When you talk about brand, this is funny because most of the brand teams actually have big ideas, have positioning and brand colors, and many people, even within the team, don't know it. So be sure to know what your brand stands for, what's the positioning. And actually the most important part for me is to know what are the no-goes you don't want to be associated with. Maybe you do not have to share all this PR press releases saying on the description, but you definitely have to keep in mind that you don't want to have listed. For example, Hily is a dating app, and dating includes different types of relationship. That's just friendship, that's serious relationship. And for example, such word as hookup, and hookup is one of use cases of any dating app, but we never use this keyword. Why? Because we don't want to be associated with it. That's okay. I mean, that's not a big loss for us, even though the keyword is kind of relevant and it brings a lot of volume, but it also helps us to build our brand, the way we want to be seen by other people. Ask the brand manager, do we work with influencers? Can we use their photos? Ask if you have really good publications in media, and then you may play around with this. For example, adjust your app name to the big idea. On Google Play, you have 50 symbols, and I'm more than sure that after the app name, you may add something you want to stand for. Meet, for example, in our cases, meet new people, or, for example, during this time, meet people online, change it and make it relevant. Play around brand colors. If you have them, you don't have to stick only to them. I think that you will have a palette of colors and then choose the ones that works best for you. Tailor the description to positioning, and what is fun and good, especially in our case, use brand ambassadors or publish an article to increase credibility. Dating is all about safety. You don't want to meet people who are not trustworthy, right? So, for example, when we had a good article on TechCrunch or Financial Times, why not include it in the long description? So when people see it, they know that, okay, those guys write about us. Why don't we trust them? And actually, yeah, we're pretty good dating app, at least I think. So yeah, how do we do it? We run experiments and we run them all of the time. On Google Play, it's kind of easy, just kind of what are my rules for running tests on Google Play. We'll use the best practices for Android paid UA. Again, keep in mind, Android and iOS are different, and they are different even in their approaches on in page marketing as well. Some typical rules concerning running tests on each location different. People are different, you know, and test one asset at a time unless this is holiday, because then you can have the whole set of creatives to change and assets just to create the holiday mood. And this is, for example, one of the examples of our tests during the latest time when we changed from meet new people, to meet people online. We checked different types of short descriptions. And a week after, we had to change how our conversion rate versus peer group, did it increase or decrease. And this is simple, but it helps you to check out if there are false positive results. 90% of confidence level is okay, but 10% is still, not the best thing to have. Different thing is on the App Store, where you don't have the tool to run experiments. So again, first of all, ask the marketers what are the best practices for iOS on the paid user acquisition channels. And here, what you have to do is to change assets per release. And again, change only one asset, unless it is holidays, because then you have to create the holiday atmosphere. And yeah, this is the way I change assets. I have different columns with every country storefront that we localize our app for. There are much more to come, and they're much more hidden. And different assets that I change with every release. So then, when I see different conversion rates, I know what was it influenced by. So let me share some of our success stories. For example, we changed our title from Smart Dating App to Dating App for Singles. Our former brand strategy was Highly Smart Dating App because we use a lot of machine learning to provide the best matches. But then we realized to change it somehow. So I asked my paid UA colleagues, what are the core messaging they bring to their ads? So I changed it, and it brought us really good results. The conversion rate from page view and app unit increased by 20%. A different case is when I changed this screens, video, and promo text to the Halloween, and it brought us even better results. It was 3 perfect weeks when I felt super happy that all the works we are doing really brings its results. So this is how it looked. Unfortunately, I don't know what went wrong, but there were pictures. All of them looked really nice. But this is how we do the changes all of the time, and then we share the results. So all the main takeaways from my today's speech. When you want to reach coherency, be ready to listen. You have to brainstorm ideas together and be responsible for changes. Be the person who comes up with the idea and changes something, because people usually don't like to take the responsibility, but you have to do it. You have to share knowledge and share the results with the team, just as I did a couple of seconds ago, showing the success stories. Share your successes and share your failures within the team, so the team knows what works good for you and what doesn't work, because you either have good conversion or good experience. And repeat the cycle again and again and again, because the closer you work together, the more knowledge you share, the better will be the results. And what is even more important, everyone will appreciate each other's effort in creating the great product. That's all. This is my presentation. Feel free to approach me in ASO Slack. I am there, and I'm always ready to share my knowledge, ideas, or find me on LinkedIn. That's all. Thank you very much.
Natalie, thank you so much.